welcome to another episode, or I should say another video of my journey. The longest journey in the social work field. And yeah, stick around. Let's have a chat. Okay. So in this video, I'm going to discuss my continuous journey into the social work field and how it could possibly help those that are in grad school or those who are in the same footing as I am and are still holding strong and trying to pass this racist exam. So let's get started for real this time. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my third attempt. So for my last video, I discussed that I took a year break because I felt like I needed to do that for myself. And it wouldn't help if I just kept on going the same path as far as the path of emotional and physical abuse, psychological abuse, of having to study for the exam, preparing the mentally preparation for the exam. And I'm not too sure if I emphasized this in the last two videos, but when it comes to the licensing exam, which I knew from taking the prep classes and all that stuff, you're taking this exam not based on what you were taught, but based on what the exam wants the answer to be, if that makes any sense. Because at first it did not make any sense to me, but after multiple prep courses and practicing, and I might add, these prep courses are not cheap. So you're spending a lot of money and having to pay for the exams, for the multiple attempts that you have to make, is very expensive. And so that, with that being said, I was aware of what's needed to pass the exam. You have to think differently when it comes to these exams. And unfortunately, you do not want to stay in that mindset of some of the questions that are being presented are very harmful. And a lot of people have stated this as well. It's very harmful for the community. These questions, if someone were to practice these questions in real life, I truly believe that they're doing more harm. So let's get on to the third attempt. So I took a year off from studying, and it did me some good because I was able to focus on other things. I was able to maintain my job that I had that was somewhat social work in a way, but it wasn't fully what I really want. And that's another frustration part about having to go through this long journey, is because you're not able to go for some of the jobs that you actually want to gain more knowledge in, and also to build that resume. You know, we're trying to learn from different type of things that we probably didn't learn in grad school or want to have more knowledge of it from what we learned from grad school. So there's a difference between being in a classroom and reading about these things in textbooks and actually doing them in real life. So that was part of the, and still is, the frustration part, is that you're being blocked. There's a barrier that's put in place. It's a gate. I don't know how more can I explain this enough, but it was a very frustration, and still is a very frustration ordeal. Again, the title of this video is The Longest Social Work Journey, still ongoing, the longest social work journey. And so after taking the year break and understand to, okay, this is gonna be my time to just relax and to maybe start up again for the following year. And that's what I did. Now, when I say I took a very long journey, I needed to put me first. And I'm sharing this is because I need you to understand that when your body and mind and everything else and your circle is telling you take a break, take it. I highly recommend it to take it. And so when I decided to retake the exam again, there was some hesitancy on my side because I was living in a space where I didn't have to worry about this as of right now. And now having to prepare myself, I had to practice some heavy self-care to prepare myself and to understand that we've been down this road and you're going to go down this road again, and we already know what it felt like the aftermath. We already know how that felt, but we don't want that same outcome again. So let's try to prepare ourselves in a way that is totally different from how we prepared ourselves from the last time. I don't know. Let's try to prepare ourselves in a different way. And that was the process. That's what I kept on thinking to myself. And to let myself understand that this is going to be a journey, because I've heard it from other fellow colleagues who were in the same boat, or when I was in grad school, we heard the same thing. It is a long journey for people who look like me. So I prepared myself, study materials, another prep course, study materials, practice. Once again, the same, added change in the prep, in the way that I studied, which was, I believe, either I forgot what I did, but I just changed it up. I added the materials that I needed to study, and once again, that paper, that printout that lets you know what areas that you need to study, focus on that. I was excited and scared at the same time, but this time it was different. I was like, I took a year-long break. I feel like I can do this now. I am going to pass this exam. I'm going to write it down, pray on it, do everything. So these are the added things that I'm mentioning now that I added to like boost up more confidence, to give me that positive energy and all that stuff. Letting my friends and family know the date, and not being afraid of not wanting to share the date, because I don't know if you do this, or if anyone else does this, but this is what I do. If I have an exam, I will not tell the date, the time, what month. Even though there's so many different days in that month, I will not disclose that, because I don't want any extra pressure and also negativity as well. There's a thing that we've all learned, is that you never know who's praying against you. So I refuse to share. But this time around, I was like, yeah, here's the date, here's the time, I'm passing it. Being confident, I'm passing it. I studied, I've read, this type of prep course was the best prep course. Practice, blah, blah, and stuff like that. I feel like I can tackle this. And this time around, I did not drive. I used a Lyft to help me commute to the location. And I took the exam at a different location. So that was another added thing I did. I was like, I kept on taking it at one location. Let me switch it up. Let me go to a different location. I don't want to drive, so I could eliminate the stress. I'm not going to drive. And while I went to go take the exam, it's a different location. I was kind of scared, but again, I wasn't driving, so I didn't have to worry about the location or timing or anything like that because I timed everything, make sure I was picked up at a certain time, so that way I can be there and know the surrounding areas. So went inside this massive building. I'm like, this place is huge. I'm like, okay, let's not focus on this right now. I need to know where the bathroom is. I need to make sure my accommodations are clarified with them one for the third or fourth time, because they do make sure that they are aware of this. And where am I sitting and all that stuff. So took the exam, took my breaks, went to my bathroom breaks, had my snack, took my medication, all that stuff, took the exam, then took a break because I was panicking a little. Because sometimes there's a point where you will panic a little bit because it's a long exam. Because I can remember from my first attempt, I went in the morning time, came out, and it was in the afternoon time. And, the sun tends to slow down to set down. And I'm like, wow, I've been there for a very long time. It is a long time. This is half of an 8-hour shift. Wow. So I was like, okay, you know what? My brain is saying that she's tired of having to sit there. Let's walk a little bit. Let's go to the bathroom a little bit. Let's do some prayer. Let's do something to boost up our brain and to understand and to focus. Lo and behold, exam is done. Click submit. And then you walk out and obtain your status. And the person who was there, the worker who was there, he was also African American, and he handed me my paper. And the way he handed it to me, he looked very disappointed. And not until after I read the paper, where I'm like replaying his reactions and all that stuff. So then I took the paper and I saw that I missed by 4 points. I missed by 4 points. I was devastated. I called a friend of mine, informed him the results. He was devastated. Couldn't believe it. I called my parents, let them know. They were devastated as well. So my first attempt was 8 points. My second attempt was 8 points. Took a year off, got ready and studied, and missed by 4 points. We went through the same cycle again, unfortunately. I shut off, completely shut off. Went home, didn't want to speak to anybody, just shut off. Because I was sick and tired of having to go through this again. This is the third time. And I couldn't believe it. And this was in June of 2022. So the last exams were 2020, 2020. I took a year off, decided to start it for the new year, 2022. Now, I couldn't take it anymore. It made no sense to me. Made no sense. But on paper, for the exam, it made sense to them. it made sense to anyone who would review the paper. And I do keep the sheet of paper, your final outcomes. I have them to this day. Because again, I said this is a long journey. So I still have the papers. And there are some time I will look back at them and realize it reminds me of the efforts that I made. And these were not just a one-time effort. These were multiple efforts. Thank you again for listening to my journey. I can't wait to hear from yours down in the comment section. Let me know where you're at, and I hope this video helps you. And yes, there is another journey video that I'm going to add after this, so stay tuned.